All right, so here's a question for you. Can you be a successful real estate agent serving a small town or community? On this episode of Real Estate Strategies with Remax Hallmark, we're going to find out what it takes to build a successful real estate business, no matter how big or small your service area is. Today's guest is Christa Duits, a seasoned real estate professional with Remax Hallmark Che Realty in Ontario, Canada. And Christa has been helping buyers and sellers navigate the housing market since 2013, bringing over a decade of experience to every transaction. Born and raised near St. John's, Newfoundland, Christa moved to Simcoe County in 2005 and now calls the region home, primarily serving Clearview and Stayner. Her deep local roots give her a strong understanding of the neighborhood she serves, making her a trusted resource for both buyers and sellers alike. She is a Remax Hall of Famer, and today we're going to find out about the secrets to her success. Christa, welcome.
Thank you. So great to be here.
It's our pleasure. Christa, let's start this journey by talking about how you got started in real estate.
To be completely honest, it was really by chance. So I have two kids. My daughter was born in 2012, so she's 14, and my son was born in 2014, so he's 11. So I actually went through college to become a paralegal. And so I finished that programming in 2011, in late 2011, and my daughter was born early 2012. And while on my mat leave, when I started to look at what going back to work would look like, minimum wage at the time was $10.25. Paralegals were just recently licensed by the Law Society, so pay grade was still pretty low. And when I started weighing that against what daycare costs would run me month to month, it didn't really make a ton of sense to me. So a friend of mine that I actually hadn't seen in a couple of years, he was living in Brantford and he had gotten his real estate license. And one day I got a random text from him and it was a picture of a check, and the check was for like $5,000. And he said, "Look what I just picked up. You should get your real estate license." And so when I started to think about it, I thought, maybe I could get my real estate license if I could sell a couple houses a year, evenings and weekends to people, working with people that I knew. It would allow me to still contribute while avoiding those real estate costs. So I started the licensing process. I want to say late 2012, and then was a licensed realtor mid 2013.
All right, so you're a new parent, a new mom, and you're exploring a new career, and then you see this check for $5,000, which, by the way, today being 2026 is still a pretty decent amount of money, no matter how you put it. And so, what did you find was your biggest challenge when you first started out, and how did you overcome?
It's really interesting. I remember starting, and I thought that I had to be super corporate, and again, it's really just not who I am as a person. Again, as I'm talking with my hands, I'm fairly animated. I'm professional, but not terribly serious. Again, like I love to laugh and joke and to have fun. And I actually remember thinking, I need to wear suits all the time, and I need to wear heels all the time. And honestly, I have two left feet. So it's just dangerous for me and all of my clients if I was to wear heels. And so I remember just thinking that I had to be, I guess, somebody really that I just wasn't.
Right. Yes.
And I really do think too, though, that people can see through that. So if you're uncomfortable in that clothes or in those shoes as you're wobbling in to try and show a house, I think that people can see that. So it was really just, and I was younger. I was in my early 20s when I started. And so I think that there was definitely a little bit of a challenge with people taking me seriously, given how old I guess I was. And so I think really just being able to lean into who I am authentically, again, which really was a challenge, I think, in the beginning.
Right. And I think we find that a lot with, of course, especially our industry, because we seem to have this, I guess, this persona or this thought that there's a realtor has to be a certain persona, and then fitting that to specific clientele. And they can literally sniff you out, and they can tell that you're not who you are. But isn't it great that when you do discover that feeling of being authentic, whether it's on social media, and then of course when they meet you in real life, it's like, hey, this is Christa, the Christa that I was expecting to know. That's the fantastic feeling, and being able to attract the clientele that you do attract. And so, when we were doing our pre-meeting about this, I was joking around saying, okay, this is going to be that small town, a realtor doing very successful things. But give us an idea, like Clearview and Stayner, how big is this market in terms of population or in terms of number of households? How would you paint a picture for those watching or listening to this in terms of how big that market is that you serve?
So I think like a lot of markets right now, the market's a little saturated here. So we did have a lot of new builds. So there's a lot of builder inventory right now, and it's kind of really kind of ramped up those numbers. In previous years where the things were a little bit more balanced, if there were 5 or 6 houses for sale in Stayner, that was a lot.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, there definitely wasn't a ton. And again, the price point was a little different. I mean, you could come out here now even and get a brand new 2,200 square foot detached for $650,000.
Right.
Right. Where again, I know in some other markets that's not going to get you that.
That's a condo in Toronto, if you're looking for that. Yeah.
On the flip side of that though, and again, this has been a kind of great for me, and it's definitely a product that I like. We do also have the opportunity to sell it a lot of like rural properties, like horse farms, or again 100-acre places with cash crops and that sort of things. So on the flip side of that, again, we can have those higher price points, but the stuff in town is definitely.
And I saw that because I was snooping around your social media in terms of looking at what kind of properties you were selling. And some of the videos that you did on your YouTube channel were very fantastic, seeing how big a lot of the acreages are, like the farms and the different large properties that you do market to. So Christa, take us through the process of how you build your business up, because Clearview and Stayner being, we're not talking Toronto here. We're not even talking like Barrie, the city here. We're talking about a bit of a smaller towns and smaller areas. And so you're a consistent award winner. When you joined Remax, you're consistently producing at platinum levels in the most recent years, and of course achieving Hall of Fame. So how did you build such a successful business despite, as you put it, your markets were saturated and 6 listings being a lot, and you're one of those agents? Like, how did you carve your niche in your market, and how did you build your business up to where it is today?
And so again, I kind of mentioned that again, I have 2 kids, both of my kids play a lot of sports. And again, as hectic as that all is, it's actually also afforded me the opportunity to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't meet otherwise. So, parents from their hockey and baseball teams. And again, those teams change year over year. So again, small town. So when we're hanging out at the arena every Wednesday night for 2 hours, I'm getting the opportunity to meet people in a very, like authentic environment, and not professionally. So I feel like a lot of people get to know me personally.
Right.
Before we ever have dealings professionally. And I think that's where that trust, right? That's where that trust comes in. Again, and most of my business, those people are in the same season of life as I am. They have young kids, they are sports parents, they're doing that juggling. They don't worry that if I come to evaluate their house that I'm going to judge them for, the dirty socks on the floor that their teen didn't pick up. Because
exactly.
That's what my house looks like too.
Right.
So I think really just kind of diving into that market. To be honest, when I first started, I really felt like I have to be in Barrie. Barrie is where I need to be. That needs to be my market, and really kind of just missing out on the opportunity here. So I do a lot of community-based things. So in terms of, I sponsor free public skating at our local arena every year, free public swimming at our outdoor pool, any of the kids' sports teams. Like there's Clearview minor hockey, there's Collingwood girls hockey that I sponsor. We have a junior C team. So I think kind of really just getting in there. I have 2 billboards like locally. One is like on the highway. It's more of that, like, again, maybe a little bit more of that corporate feel. The one in town, I feel like I'm able to lean into a little bit every year. I put like our family Christmas photo goes on to there, so, from the Duits family to yours, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. So I think really just really becoming a face and a name kind of in this small community.
So just being that brand of that small community, being authentic, because that is your lifestyle, that is your vibe, and you're just extending that. So was that true from the very beginning? So like when you mentioned how you started, you finished your paralegal education, and then you got enticed to get into real estate. How long did it take you to ramp up your business to the point where it was sustainable to be able to support your family?
To be honest with you, it was a few years. So my daughter was just over a year old when I first got licensed. And again, I really stayed true to, again, what that idea was coming in. So I'll do a couple of deals a year. In 2018, so my son was just about to go into school full time. And I thought, okay, now this is very different, right? I don't have those childcare needs throughout the day. And I actually took it was the Richard Robbins Masters Academy. So Remax held it at their office in Barrie, and I did that program. And that program talked a lot about looking at real estate, not like as my job, but as a business, and how do I grow this as a business? So it really kind of changed that perspective for me. And I feel like once my son was in school full time, it really gave me the opportunity to kind of dive in more fully, I guess.
Right. So it was,
So again,
yeah, you eased into it. It was
it's
a
a couple
transition.
years.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which is good because I mean, for those who are in similar situations, whether you're a new parent or you're just entering that part of your life journey, it does get challenging, especially being a mom and you've got two kids very actively involved in sports and in the community and education. To be able to juggle all that around and handle a deal and handle closings and handle clients, the demands of real estate, sometimes it goes 24/7, and being a mom and being a parent is 24/7. So that's an inspiration to everybody who's listening to you and watching and hearing your story. So Christa, what would you say, like on a daily basis, what you do? So we know you're busy. We know you've built a very good, sustainable business. Like from start to finish of your day, what do you spend time doing and how do you maintain that discipline?
As much as I can, I try and get up before the kids. So I'll get the kids up at 7 a.m. to get ready for school. So again, if that's just an opportunity for me just to check my email, check the hot sheets, have a coffee, just, respond to any emails I might need to, upload documents to SkySlope, that sort of thing, I'll get them up. And then so from 7 to 8:30, that's that getting ready for school routine. I drop them off. And so then I mean, I really have from like 8:30 to 2:30 where they're gone to school. So then it's going to be a lot of catching up on those client emails, making social media posts, the phone calls, those types of things will happen throughout the day. I do also try and make it to the gym 3 days a week. I feel like real estate is demanding, parenting is demanding. So if I can find 1 hour, 3 days a week for myself, then I feel like that kind of
You need that energy recharge. Yeah,
it keeps
exactly.
me grounded. It keeps me sane.
That's right.
So I do that a couple of days as well. And then again, my evenings are going to vary. Like that's going to be very different about whether or not I'm dropping a kid off somewhere for practice or if we're watching a game or if I have showings. But again, it's nice because my clients right now, like for example, I have a client right now, their daughters skate on Thursday nights. So I know you're not available until after 6. I know you are a volunteer with Girl Guides on Monday night. So you're not available at those times either. And then we kind of just work around those things. So
yeah.
So again, evenings will really vary just depending on the clients I have at the time and kind of where those schedules are with the kids too.
And what's great about it is because you are living the same or similar lifestyles as the clients that you're serving, your schedules are jiving with each other. Your kids are doing the same things. You're at the same places. So in a sense, you are, networking, you're meeting, you're socializing. But at the same time, those showing appointments are not going to be when Girl Guides are on or when skating is happening or any other sports, right? So you've got a long journey ahead of you in terms of the real estate business, especially since you've started young. Christa, what would you say keeps you motivated to just keep pushing this, no matter how challenging things get?
I'm going to sound super cliche, but it really is my family. My business has given me the opportunity to, provide a sort of life for my kids that again isn't really something that I experienced. It's incredible. So again, I grew up on the East Coast and I grew up in a very small town where everybody lived below the poverty line. So not really coming from that sort of financial security. I was 20 years old before I left the country for the first time where so really just being able to do that and not even just on the financial side, but even just kind of having that flexibility. My son has a hockey game tonight, so I have to have him at the arena at 5:15. If I worked a 9 to 5, how would I do that, right? Between having to leave an office and do a commute. So sometimes the schedule can be all over the place. Absolutely. And there's definitely times where maybe I have to step away from, I don't get all of my Saturdays off, but at the same time, like it's the price
to pay,
nice.
Right? So that's sort of the trade-off. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it is really them.
Yeah. Well, which is family. I mean, family, it's one of the greatest motivators because you're knowing that you've impacted their life, you're changing your lifestyle trajectory, and this is something that's going to get paid forward in the future. And something really important that you've touched on is that like real estate is as demanding as it is. And we're not kidding when sometimes it becomes 24/7 during especially busy periods. And there are those weekends that you give up. But imagine having to give up your son or your kids, anybody here listening and relating to this, imagine having to give up your kids' hockey game because you were at work and you have to do overtime that day and your boss is not going to let you out. And so, yes, there are those trade-offs. You don't get your weekends all the time. Sometimes you do. Mind you, you get to go on vacations. You get to do whatever you want, depending how well you do. But at the same time, you've got that flexibility. So, Christa, there's a lot of real estate agents that listen to this podcast and watch this podcast, and they're always looking for that secret sauce, right? That sort of, what's that one thing that a realtor is doing that's making them so successful? What would you say your secret to success is?
I think two things. Again, I think you have to be authentic. I think in this day and age, people don't want to be sold to. And I think when you're fake or when conversations or interactions are contrived, people can smell that and they know that, they don't trust it, and they're not going to want to work with you moving forward. And then I think a second part of that is that you really have to run your business and from a place of honesty. Like, you have to act with integrity. Longevity is really the name of the game here. I mean, if you don't treat a client fairly, or maybe don't give them fair advice. Like, again, sometimes somebody will call me to sell their house, and after having a conversation with them, I say maybe it makes more sense to stay put. I'm not trying to talk myself out of a job, but if that doesn't make sense for you to move, I'd rather see you stay here and maybe work with the situation that you have.
Right.
Whereas if they felt like I pressured them to move their house and then they find themselves in a worse situation, they're never going to, refer me to other people. Again, it might not be a deal right now. It might not be business right now.
Right.
But again, they'll tell their friends, or they will, they'll call you when the time comes. So yeah. I think you just have to act with integrity and just be honest and act honestly.
Yeah, authenticity, integrity, honesty, and doing this as a long game, because as you've seen with your business, it's a compounded effect, right? So you started out slowly, you kind of, built it up to a point that it's sustainable, but now it's compounded to the point that you've served enough clients that they're coming back to you, they become raving fans, they know you're going to do right, and so they refer you, and then that's sort of what builds up a long-standing, successful real estate business. So Christa, you've shared such amazing stuff with us today, and of course, anybody that wants to connect with you and meet with you, we're going to share that information in a moment. We do have realtors that are listening to this that maybe they're starting out, maybe they're in a position like you when you first started out, or some that may have been in the business for a while, but maybe they've lost their spark and they need some inspiration. Christa, for anybody watching and listening to this in the real estate field, what would your advice be to them?
Keep going. I think we've seen a lot of adversity over the last, couple of years, and management from Remax Hallmark has been amazing, really. And I think letting the masses of us kind of know that I think it's really easy sometimes to get caught up in what other people are doing and what other people's, numbers are, or that sort of production, or what it looks like they're doing based on what they post on social media. And I think you have to stay true to yourself and just keep, I think just kind of keep trucking along, because it's like you said, it's that compounding. And again, I've had years over the last 13 years too, where it's, production isn't where I would have liked it to be. But again, I feel like if you're honest, if you're authentic, if you keep doing it, I do think that it will come back. You
stuck with it. And the perfect advice, especially in a challenging market like today, is just to keep going, because a lot of realtors find themselves idle, and what happens when you're idle and you start second guessing and you start thinking about all sorts of things and you start looking for that secret. But everything you've shared with us, just the authenticity of your message and who you are. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that for anybody in the real estate business. Is just be who you are. You're going to attract the people that you're going to attract anyway. And at the same time, the people that are not meant to do business with you may not end up doing business with you, and that's okay. But having the confidence to just be authentic, to be honest, to have integrity, and to just keep going. What a simple and perfect message of being successful. So Christa, Clearview, Stayner, anybody who wants to send business to you in Simcoe County. I know we have a lot of Remax Hallmarks all over Ontario. We're now in Florida as well. But some people listening to this might be coming from any part of the world. If somebody wants to send you business, how do they connect with you? What's your website, phone number, all that sort of good stuff, so they can connect?
Feel free to call or text at any time. So it's 705-279-6884 at ChristaDuits.com or Christa Duits at remaxj.com.
Awesome. All right. Christa, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's such an inspiring and rejuvenating story about how you've started out and how you continue to be successful. And for those of you watching, listening, thank you so much for joining Real Estate Strategies with Remax Hallmark. Like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff depending on where you're at. And we look forward to seeing you in future episodes. Christa, thank you. And everybody else,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you.